Good morning, everybody. Oh my gosh, my lens is always so dirty. Good morning, everybody. It is August 28th, 2018, and these are your morning announcements. I am trying to get out of the garage. Rick parked the car in here, and he always tries to park as close to the left side of the garage as possible, and then it makes it impossible for me to get out because I cannot see where I'm going. I think I'm all right now, though. Okay, we got her. That guy. He's tall, and he doesn't realize that I'm like a foot shorter than him. Well, not a foot, but 6 inches shorter than him. And with the wing back there, but I can't. I have to practically stand up. I have to stand up in the car to see out the back window. Crazy. So, this morning I was watching some videos about these little houses in Russia. I think they were called dukas, D-A-C-H-A-S, dukas. Basically, they're tiny houses, but they've been around in Russia forever and ever. So I guess we have to give it to the Russians to be like the inventors of the tiny house, because they've had these, well, I mean, everybody's had tiny houses. It's just that now they're on wheels, and they're like little house campers now, I guess. And for a long time I was thinking, ooh, I'd like one of those. I'd like a little tiny house that I could hook up to a truck and take all over the place and just use it as a more homey version of a camper that has everything in it that I want. And then I realized, well, then I gotta buy a big truck and have to pay the insurance on that, plus the trailer. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. And I thought, well, I'll get a camper that you can drive. But the campers that you can drive that are in my price range are pretty much POSs, if you know what I'm saying. Junk. Or really old. So I was like, I don't really. And then they aren't laid out the way I would want them to be, and so I said, nah, I'm not going to do that either. So my goal, my 5-year goal, is to build a schoolie. I'd like a 30-passenger school bus, and I've talked about that here before. I'd like to do a school bus because I can gut it and I can make it into whatever I want it to be. And I've got an extremely handy husband who's excellent at, he's an excellent carpenter, so I know I could, design something and he'd be able to build it, and that would save us money. And I'm not afraid of using things that are used or repurposed. As long as it functions and it looks halfway decent, I am perfectly okay with that. So that's going to be the direction that I'm going in. I will, Anton. I definitely will do that. I've actually already looked into that, and that's why I don't want to go any bigger than a 30-passenger bus. Once the seats are removed and it's registered as an RV here in Wisconsin, I don't have to have a CDL, but I think I may get a CDL anyway, just because if I'm crossing over state borders, I want to make sure that I'm in the laws the way that I need to be. Good morning, Katie. So yeah, there we go. That's what I'm doing. So yeah, I've drawn out the plans, and I've started designing the way that I want the insides to look, and now I got to figure out a way to raise the funds. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start selling off all my stuff. I have a lot of crap. I've been living in the same house the entirety of my adult life, and I have a lot of junk. And I really need to downsize anyway because it's getting to be too much. So I'm going to sell off a bunch of things. Like I'm going to sell off all my ghost hunting equipment. Sell off some of my tools, not all of them. I'm going to keep any of my auto mechanic tools, but some of my other tools I may sell. And, basically just get rid of anything that I haven't used within the last year or two. I have a lot of ghost hunting equipment. I mean, it takes up a big corner of my basement, so getting rid of that will be very helpful. I think I'm going to sell off one of my guns, which I've been talking about doing for a while. I have a Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum revolver that I'd like to sell. So that'll help raise some money. Woo! I dropped my phone. Is everyone all right? You got a house designed? Oh, that's cool, Katie. Yeah, I've been looking at tiny houses. I started looking at tiny houses about 10 years ago when I first got onto YouTube and discovered them. And I've gone through like I said, I looked at tiny houses, I looked at campers, I looked at turning a box truck into a camper. I looked at turning ambulances into a camper. And nothing really just seemed like it was going to fit my needs, so the bus seems to be the best fit. And that's what I'm going to go with. And I really enjoy the designing process, the thinking about where this will go and where that'll go and how I'll build it. I'd really like to craft everything inside of the bus to be very similar to what you'd find on a ship, with locking latches and, built-in cubby spaces here, there, and everywhere, just for storage. Yeah, I looked at U-Haul trucks as well. The reason I decided not to go with a U-Haul is by the time you reinforce it to be strong enough to hold solar panels, and by the time you insulate it, you lose a ton of space. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. In the bus I'm going to take out a good majority of the windows and actually, most of the windows. It'll only have maybe 6 or 8 windows. It won't have the full complement of what a school bus normally has. And when I take the windows out, I want to reinforce the sides with metal. And so I have a friend who does some welding, so he'll be welding in the supports, because I want to put at least 6 400-watt solar panels across the top. So it's going to have to be reinforced so that I can have a fridge inside of my bus. And I'd also like a hot water on demand water heater. And I started with the 4-passenger or the 4-window buses, where there's 4 windows on each side. Drew that out, went, okay, that's not going to be quite big enough. Then I went to 5, then I went to 6. And right now I'm kind of settled at the 6-window school buses. But Yeah, and Rick, I mean, he is so handy with that kind of stuff. He is definitely a carpenter. And we have a homeowners bargain outlet. We've got 2 of them here in Milwaukee. So, like, getting cabinets and stuff like that that are pre-made, we can actually get them pre-made for a decent ones that are pre-made for less than what we would pay to build them ourselves. The only difference is I'd have to put the locking latches on it, and so they would have to be thick enough to be able to handle the locking latches. So that might be a little bit of a challenge, but we could always bulk up the fronts of the cabinets to be able to accommodate those locking latches. They're like round, and they have like a little thing that pulls out. I don't know if I'm even using the correct terminology. So yeah, so that's my big plan for the future. I'm going to start selling stuff off this winter. I think what I'll do is I'm going to put everything that I'm going to sell in the garage. And then I'm going to do a video about what I'm selling. And then if anybody here is interested in anything that I have, of course, I'd rather sell it to people that I know. And then, of course, I could give you guys a deal because you're friends of mine. But, I mean, I have, like, all kinds of survival stuff, camping stuff, beer making supplies. Because, I was really into making beer for a while, but I kind of lost my enthusiasm for it after I had 2 bad batches of beer in a row that I don't know if I didn't like decontaminate them good enough or what happened, but I had two batches in a row that were bad, and I was just like, oh, that sucks. And they were big batches too, and I just had to dump them, and I was just like, this sucks, never doing this again. So now I've got all this beer making stuff that I don't have anything to do with it, so I may sell that off. I got all kinds of crap. Games. I may sell off some of my video game systems, and I have a lot of those with a lot of games. So that's the plan, man. So we'll have to see. Right now I'm going into work. It's rare for me to work on Tuesdays, but this is the second Tuesday in a row that I'm working. We have events during the week this week, business meetings and such. Businesses have rented our building for their meetings, so I'm going in to set those up. Actually, yesterday was my only day off this week, which is okay, I like being busy. I don't like just laying around the house doing nothing. That just makes me fat. So the more I work, the more I exercise I get, and the better off I feel. Yes, very good job security. And I like it. And you guys know I love my job, so I love being there. It's like my second home. And, I feel like I'm helping to preserve part of Milwaukee's history, because Milwaukee would not be what it is if the beer barons hadn't settled in Milwaukee and made their beer here, Pabst, Miller, Schlitz, Blatz, all brewed their beer here. And now, of course, we have Lakefront Brewery, Milwaukee Brewing Company, Lightning Kugels is here doing stuff. And then there's all the awesome Wisconsin breweries. Wisconsin really is a brew state, We're a very beer-centric city. And Miller Brewing Company, brews their beer here, and then Pabst contract brews through Miller for their third shift. They use their third shift facility, but Pabst has its own employees and brewmasters that work third shift, and they brew the beer in Miller, which is great, Miller had spent a ton of money upgrading their facility and making it state of the art. And Pabst, if they would have tried to do that at the brewery here in Milwaukee, it would have cost them more than what they could ever earn. So doing this, closing the brewery was sad. You know, it was a very sad day for Milwaukee, but it was also a very smart business decision, you know, to contract brew through Miller. So I see both sides of the coin on that one. But Pabst is brewing beer in their own little facility again, but it's a microbrewery where they are brewing beers that were retired, like Ondecker, which was Pabst's premium beer. They're brewing that again at the little Pabst church right down the road from Best Place. And they also do, I think it's Old Tankard Ale, Ballantine, their IPA, or APA, I'm sorry, APA, American Pale Ale, and several other beers. So that's kind of exciting and awesome, because I like having Pabst brewed here in Milwaukee again. And the whole city does, so it's pretty cool. Oh, and you know what else is going on this week? It's the 115th anniversary of Harley Davidson, so there are millions of bikes here in Milwaukee. It starts tomorrow, but they're all coming in, a lot of them are coming in today. So everywhere you go, there are motorcycles all over the place, and that's fun to see. As a lifelong motorcycle enthusiast, I don't have a bike right now, but I will, especially if I get my bus. I get my school bus, because I'm going to put a little thing on the back of the bus, and I am going to take my motorcycle everywhere. You got a microbrewery only 4 blocks away from your house. Do you go there every day, Katie? I would. I'd be in there every day after work having a beer. Actually, I've got a couple very close to me as well. And I don't go there every day because I work in a place that sells beer, so I don't have to. But you wish. That's awesome. The bike, it's like every 5 years Harley Davidson does like a reunion, so to speak, here in Milwaukee, and it's kind of like Sturgis, only it's, you know, Milwaukee, but it's a big giant party that lasts a week, and it's so much fun. I mean, there's all kinds of great music and food and all kinds of stuff going on here for the bikers. The Harley Museum is right down the street from Potawatomi, so Chrissy is already seeing a lot of bikers coming into Potto, where she deals blackjack and every other game that goes on there. So, let me just quick read here and see what you guys said. We're right next to Trader Joe's. Oh, I love Trader Joe's. Well, that's about it. I think I pretty much got what you were saying while you were saying it. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to go do my job. You have a great day. Love you. Okay, bye-bye.